Welcome to Vegan Quest. I'm Tim K. Today we're filming from beautiful downtown York, Pennsylvania at the Your Kitchen Shared Kitchen facility. And I have this brand new apron that I'm really excited about. It really represents everything that's vegan. It has a lot of...
Whoa. Hold on. Do you know what that word is?
That one?
Yeah, this one right here.
Chattanooga?
It's not a vegan word at all, so I'm going to help you out.
What does that mean?
It's basically a platter of meat, and it's not vegan at all.
Oh, well...
So I'm going to fix this up right here, and I'm going to write a special word for you to help you out.
This is my assistant, John, everybody. I have no idea what he's writing.
There we go. We fixed that up for you. Now.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I feel much better, actually. Thank you, John. Now, I do love new technology, but in a lot of ways, I also like old-fashioned things, such as the old-fashioned newspaper. And I did get a clipping out of the newspaper quite some time ago. I saw a recipe for something called a caramelized onion tart. And so today, on today's show, my teacher is going to be a recipe from this newspaper. And the chef that wrote this recipe, his name is Gunter Seeger. He's out of New York City. He's got a restaurant also called Gunter Seeger. And after tasting this, I really think that I might have to take a trip up to New York City. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a vegan version of this. So I'm going to try an experiment and replace certain ingredients. Now this is actually vegetarian safe, so if you want to use the original ingredients, I'll also let you know what those were too, but we're going to go for the vegan. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to get 1.5 yellow onions, large. And we're going to slice them very thin. Let me show you how to do this. This is something that I learned back in my days last week. You're gonna want to chop this onion up, okay? It's very important that a cook has a very sharp knife. It really helps out things. We want to go really thin because this is going to be the top of the onion tart. I like to give it a little slice down the middle. Now I'm really brand new to cooking, so I'm just kind of showing you what I know, but you may be more professional and have better kitchen habits than I do. Okay, so now we have about 1.5 sliced yellow onions, and we want to add 4 tablespoons of butter. Now we're using a special vegan butter. It's called Earth Balance Vegan Buttery Sticks. So we're going to measure off 4 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. La mantequilla. Alright, we're going to place this butter in the pan. We're going to melt the butter. We're going to melt the butter in a saute pan. Just whisk it around to speed up the melting process. Although this probably does nothing. You just have to have some patience. My cousin Scott used to say, when he was at a red light, and the light would turn green, and the car behind him would beep at him if he wasn't going 80 miles an hour as soon as that light turned green. So he would hang out his window and scream at the top of his lungs, "Patience is a virtue you obviously do not possess." Okay, so we're going to take a half of a yellow onion and we're going to mince it. So basically, mincing is a little different than slicing. I learned that also. I think I'm dicing it. I don't know what I'm doing. Mincing is kind of like you want to get like really small. You know, you want to get it real small. And you know what? This is a really big onion, so I'm going to kind of let it fly where it wants to. And try to really get that the minced pieces in there. You're going to be surprised when you see how succulent this turns out. My eyes are watering. That's not a special effect, you guys. My eyes are actually crying. Whew! Good night. All right, we're going to take a tablespoon of olive oil. And of course, if you're a pro in the kitchen, you may not need to measure that. In a small pot, that oil, then we're going to put in the minced onions. I had to refer back to the recipe, Caramelized Onion Tart. Looks like this article is about caramelized itself. We're going to put that on there, medium heat, for about 3 minutes. Okay, then next what we're going to do is, the recipe calls for heavy cream, a half cup of heavy cream, and in this case, we're going to substitute heavy cream for coconut almond milk, some sort of mixture cream, which you can find at your local health store, and it's a good substitution for heavy cream, we think. So pour the heavy cream into your minced onions, not the sauteed caramelizing ones, and add a little pinch of salt. We want to bring this to a boil, and then once it reaches a boil, we bring it back down to a simmer and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Alright, so now we're going to come over to Santa's little blender, and we have the onion / heavy cream mix here, cooked for about 5 minutes, and you want to let that soften but not brown. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour that into the thing, try to get most of it into the cup, and we're going to, basically what we're doing is we're creating a puree. That's a little French term I learned in my school days. All right. All right. Ooh, it's hot. Santa, what are you looking at? I think something happened. Oh, there we go. Whew. Okay, we have 2 baking sheets here that I lined with parchment paper, and we have one of my favorite things of all time, puff pastry. Now, you can get a vegan style from the store, so that's what we got. And we're going to line the baking sheets with the puff pastry. This is the fun part. This is where it's kind of like, you really feel like a bakery, you know? And then it calls for 1 egg yolk mixed with a tablespoon of heavy cream. But obviously, since we're not using egg yolk, we're going to try to do it vegan style. We're using coconut oil. And I got this generic brand that we just melted it in the oven. It was kind of solidified. So take some more of the heavy cream, which is not heavy cream. It's actually coconut cream and almond milk. Hey, coconut cream. Coconut cream. Remember your old friend, coconut oil? You guys get to meet again. So get a little tablespoon of that. And we're kind of creating our own version of an egg yolk. Alright? Then what it calls for is to spoon it over, or, well, you may want to brush it. Brush it over if you have a brush. We don't have a brush, so we're going to spoon it over the puff pastry and leave about 1 inch or so border. Okay? Try to get it in there. Get it in. Now, if you're a vegetarian, if you haven't taken the leap yet to veganism, you could use egg yolk, but we recommend not. Well, we recommend doing whatever your heart feels. Okay, now we're going to place both of these into the oven and bake until they're a light, fluffy pastry, about 10 minutes or so. Alright, so here's what it looks like when it comes out. This one's actually a little puffier than this one, and that's because this was on the top of the oven, the top rack, but it's okay, because we're still not done. Now you want to take your puree mix, and we're going to take about 3/4 of this, and drizzle it, brush it along if you have a brush, drizzle it, do what you got to do. Get it in the middle of this thing, run it around, and again, leave it yourself a little inch border or so. And we'll do it to both. And this one is a little flatter, but some people like flatbread. And, so here we go. And then we're going to take our caramelized onions and spread them around. Spread them around on both of these pieces of puff pastry. And you'll see in a second here what is going on. Look at that. Spread them around. Make them nice and even, because you don't want them all to be all chunky. You want them spread out nice. Look at that. Alright. So then all we're going to do is we're going to put it back in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. And we're just about there. Okay, so now just to top it off, you want to drizzle the rest of this on top, just little diblets, I'd call them, or niblets, or giblets of the puree. It just dribbles a little puree. It adds a nice little color to it too, and it's safe to eat because it's coconut oil. Okay. Then we're just going to garnish it with a little bit of chives, freshly chopped chives. And let's just cut it up. Now you might want to use a pizza cutter or something a little easier than one of these knives, but just do your best. And there you have it, folks. A veganized version of the caramelized onion tart. Gunter Seeger, New York City.
New York City!
You know what? Why don't we taste this? Why don't we have John come around and let's come on over here, John. Let's taste this. All right. All right, we're here at Holy Hound. Look at the Holy Hounds. This is for you guys.
Thank you
so much. Adios.
All right, we all interested, please all interested. One concern is officially in a mission. You can take a short break, smoke, but you got to use your energy.